Foresea Divers! Welcome to another round of our Facebook Live presentations. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. If you are here, go ahead and put in the comments where you are listening in from. Are you here in South Florida? Are you in the state of Florida? Are you out of the country? Who knows? We always have lots of people from different areas listening in. So go ahead and write in the comments, say hello to us, let us know you're here and where you're from. Also, if you guys are liking emojis, you can give us emojis. We like thumbs up, we like hearts, we like smiling faces. So let us know that you're listening and let us know that you're enjoying this presentation throughout. Okay, so a couple of things. It is June. It is Let's Get Back to Diving Month here at Foresea. So we're really trying to make sure that you guys know that here in South Florida, there is diving to be done. We have shore diving, we have boat diving. It's amazing right now. It is flat, calm. Today the boats reported about 60 foot of visibility and 80 to 83 degree water. So a lot of people are out there diving, so let's get you diving. If you're not certified, no problem. We have classes running right now. Till the end of the month, we have some different discounts on academic materials. So make sure you contact one of the Foreseas and learn a little bit more about that. So it's a lot of great fun to be a scuba diver, and it's great to go out there and see what's under the water. We like to say that we are the eyes and the ears of what's going on the surface of the water. And so as scuba divers, you guys can help the citizen scientists and help the people that do research and conservation here in South Florida know what's going on in the backyard here. I know I'm seeing a lot of you guys saying hello. Thanks for tuning in. Hi, guys. Make sure you give us a thumbs up, heart, or a smiley face, too. So, again, like I said, it's up to us to make sure that the oceans stay pristine so that we can continue to dive them and see the cool things that you like seeing, whether it's a coral reef, sea turtles, dolphins, sharks, anything needs to have a nice, healthy ecosystem to survive. And so I brought in the folks from the Florida Department of the DEP, sorry, and the Florida Department of Protection, and they deal with the coral reefs here in South Florida. And they have a great program set up that we're going to have a presentation on. So you guys can learn how to become citizen scientists. Your reactions to what you're seeing can be documented, and things happen when you document these scenes. So whether it's trash, invasive species, bleaching, coral damage, drags, the anchors, anything, you're going to learn about what this program has done so that you can report these things, and they can do go out there and do some education and some outreach to the local areas and the community that's supposed to govern it. So we're really excited. We have Michele here. Say hi, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Excellent. And just really quick before she starts, we have tonight, we're giving away an airfield card. That's right, you guys. We're going to do a random pick at the end of the presentation. And so the only way for you to get in on this raffle is if you go to www.force-e.com and you go to the event tab and you click on tonight's presentation, it will get you to the Eventbrite. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to register. And I use that registration. It's open until 6:45. So you have 10 more minutes to get that registration in there so your name can be in the random picker, and you might win a chance at a fill card. And what we want you guys to do is when you get those fills, make sure that the next time you use those fills to go diving, you do some reports for us. So, all right. So we've got actually the owner of Foresea, Skip, just said hello. Hey, Skip. Skip and Kathy. Oh, both of you are on. So Skip and Kathy are the owners of Foresea, and they have been very instrumental in making sure that the South Florida area is protected from, any kind of invasive species. whether we do lionfish derbies or, presentations about lionfish. They also are really big on coral reefs. We do a lot of donations and fundraisers and a lot of education. So, Floracy's always been really big about making sure that we do our part and make sure that these oceans stay nice and pretty so that we always have something to dive and see. So, Michele, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody about yourself and go ahead and tell them about what they can do to help these coral reefs.
Sure. Hi, everyone. As Nicole said, my name is Michele Graulty, and I work for the Florida Department of Environmental Protection's Coral Reef Conservation Program. I'm based down in Miami, and then we also have staff up in West Palm Beach. And the Coral Reef Conservation Program also co-manages the Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary. So we have a liaison down there as well. So we are covering all of Florida's coral reef, which stretches for 350 miles. And the segment that we focus on is the northern third of the reef. And I'll be showing you guys a map of that in a bit. But there's only about 15 of us on staff and 105 miles of reef. So we could really use your help. So now I'm going to see if I can share my screen here. Go to this presentation. All right, perfect. Okay. So Nicole, if you just want to holler if you cannot see my screen, otherwise I'll get going. So today I'm here to tell you all about how you can help us protect Florida's coral reef. And as I mentioned, my name is Michele, and I conveniently have it on my water cup here today. And my role with the Department of Environmental Protection is I'm the Awareness and Appreciation Project Coordinator for the Coral Program. So that means I'm in charge of all the education and outreach activities like we have here tonight. So today I'll be going over the importance of Florida's coral reef, and then I'll be describing the Southeast Florida Action Network, or SEAFAN, which is our Citizen Science Marine Incident Reporting Program. And then I'll show you all how to submit reports and include some other fun facts along the way. And of course, I'll be taking questions at the end as well. First up, Florida's coral reef. So as I said, Florida's coral reef stretches for 350 miles. It starts up at the St. Lucie Inlet and goes all the way down past Key West out to the dry Tortugas. So I'm curious if anybody tuning in tonight has ever dove at the dry Tortugas. I personally have not, but if you have, go ahead and type in the box. I'm curious to know. So as you can see on this map, we've got a lot of different colored boxes around the reef, and that's because we have a lot of different management entities at play. So the DEP Coral Reef Conservation Program manages that northern third of the track, about 105 miles, and that's known as the Southeast Florida Coral Reef Ecosystem Conservation Area, or the Coral ECA, which was recently named by the Florida State Legislature. And then moving further south along the reef, you can see Biscayne National Park in bright green. And then the light yellow is Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary. And everything you see that's hot pink is reef. And Florida's reef is especially unique because it's very close to a highly urbanized area. Many of you probably know that the reef is close enough to swim off from shore in certain places, all those shore-based dives, right? But in other places of the world, like the Great Barrier Reef, it can take 2 hours by catamaran just to get out to the reef. So we're really lucky to have these reefs close by, but that also means that it comes with a lot of responsibility. Florida's coral reef truly is a national treasure. Those of you who've been lucky enough to dive on it have seen all of the wonders that it holds. All of these pictures here on this screen were taken from Florida's coral reef. If you guys want to go ahead and type out your favorite one here in the chat box, I can tell you mine. Mine is that hot pink hermit crab down there on the right in the middle. That's my favorite one. I have it framed in my room. In addition to being absolutely beautiful and diverse, Florida's coral reef is also really important for coastal resilience. It's home to many plants and animals, but it also protects our homes on the shore. The reefs provide the first line of defense against wave erosion and storm flooding. So this cutout section you see here on the slide is a map of what our reefs look like here in Southeast Florida. On the left-hand side, you can see the Intracoastal Waterway, and then we've got our barrier island, something like South Beach, right? And then you can see the 3 reef lines extending there. Recent studies have shown that healthy reefs help dissipate 97% of wave energy. So just imagine next time you're at the beach, if you're near a healthy reef, you're only feeling 3% of that wave's potential energy. So it's really important that we help maintain healthy reef structure so that they can keep providing all those ecosystem services. And our reefs here in Florida are home to many fish species that we like to catch recreationally and commercially. We can do another fun chat in the box. Go ahead and type your favorite reef fish to eat if you have one. I'll tell you mine. Mine is yellowtail snapper. And I remember the first time I went out to a deeper part of the reef and I saw a huge snapper and it was amazing. So these corals also serve as special nurseries for many fish as well. And they're a great place for us to dive. But our reefs are under a lot of stress, both locally and globally. Globally, we have a lot of climate change impacts. Warming seas lead to increased frequency and severity of extreme thermal events and storms. So bleaching, for example, can be caused by really, really hot water and really, really cold water. I think it was either back in 2010 when the Florida Keys actually had a cold water bleaching. And then as our oceans take up more and more carbon dioxide, they become more and more acidic, so the pH is lowering. And lower pH in the water makes it really difficult for organisms with shells to build their skeletons. So as the pH lowers, their ability to grow strong shells lowers as well. And then here in Florida, as I mentioned, we're very, very close to our reefs. So that means that a lot of what we do on land can impact the reefs. And it's really easy for people to physically get out there to impact them too. We can kind of go in a clockwise circle around all these photos. So when we're diving, right, we want to make sure that we're maintaining neutral buoyancy and staying as horizontal as possible so we don't kick or stand on the reef. Different maritime industry and coastal construction impacts can affect our reef, as well as land-based sources of pollution, invasive species like the lionfish that Nicole mentioned, anchor damages that can break apart sponges and corals, and overfishing, our special herbivores like parrotfish and others who help keep the algae levels low on the reef so that the corals get all the sunlight that they need. And lately, we've had a new threat come onto the scene here in Florida called Stony coral tissue loss disease. So it was first spotted in 2014, and you can see these are all different corals affected by the disease. And this disease is characteristic of its lesions. You can see these different lesions that pop up on the corals. And the disease moves across the coral, literally eating away the tissue. So you can see kind of three different color variations here if you look closely at a lesion. So let's look at this top left photo here, that great star coral. You see kind of the dark purple brown color of the healthy coral. And then you see a bright white line kind of around those lesions, right? Looks to be maybe an inch wide. And then you see brown, what's actually algae covered skeleton there. So the disease moves across the coral and it eats away the tissue. And then the algae come and colonize the dead skeleton. And those bright white parts are the parts where the tissue is just starting to die. So the zooxanthellae have left. So it's lost its color. So you can see how this looks a bit different from bleaching. And I'll go into that more later. Ooh, let's see. Nicole, I'm curious if we can go ahead and if I can show a YouTube video on this screen. Do we know if that will work?
Yeah, go for it. If you want to go ahead and do a screen share.
Yeah.
And then press play.
Okay, great. So we've been working with NOAA, DEP, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission, and many other organizations, including research universities and NGOs. And there's this really neat video I'd like to show you all that FWC filmed of a coral rescue cruise. And that's when we go out ahead of the disease line and we collect healthy corals. So let's see. All right, Nicole, can you all see this? We'll give it a go.
Michelle, can you hear us? The video is not clean. Is it on the PowerPoint?
No, it's not on the PowerPoint. It's on YouTube. That's all right.
Okay.
I can send the link around to everybody.
Yeah, or try and do a screen share again.
Oh, yeah.
On the right-hand side.
Okay. Let's see. So do stop sharing the screen.
Everybody's typing in, by the way. They're typing in all their favorite fish that they like to eat. I've got some people who say fish. Some people say lionfish.
All right. Can you see this now, Nicole?
It's still your PowerPoint.
All right. That's okay. We'll head back to the PowerPoint. I can share the link with everyone later. Okay. So you see the full PowerPoint? There we go. So, as I mentioned, the disease started back in 2014 and it spread through the majority of Florida's coral reef now, but it still has not touched the dry tortugas. But we've got so many different partners working to identify the pathogen, as well as doing communications and outreach about the disease, which is part of what I do. And we also are working with folks in the Caribbean who are starting to see the disease there as well. And we're also working on different intervention treatments too. So if you check out our DEP website, which I have linked on the last slide, you can learn a lot more about the disease. Next up, I'll be describing the Southeast Florida Action Network. That's our citizen science program that I hope you all can be a part of. And we started the SEAFAN program because we want our reefs to look like this for years and years to come. So SEAFAN is a community-based reporting and response program for marine incidents that affect Southeast Florida's coral reef ecosystem. So marine incidents can range from those anchors, right, invasive species, discolored water, and the SEAFAN program operates where we, the Coral Reef Conservation Program, operate. So starting all the way up in Martin County and then going down to the northern border of Biscayne National Park there, right where this green arrow is. And the SEAFAN program has 3 different goals, and I love the slogan of this program. We're all connected, keep it protected. So we aim to enhance marine debris cleanup efforts by tracking where we get different marine debris reports and trying to identify hotspots. And then we can plan marine debris cleanup efforts around those hotspots. We also work to increase our response to vessel groundings and coral damage. Like I said, we've only got offices in Miami and West Palm Beach, so it's really helpful to have our eyes and ears out on the reef to let us know if they see vessel groundings or anchor damage anywhere else, and then we can facilitate a response to go out and assess the scene. And we also want to be sure that SEAFAN is helping us to provide an early detection of potentially harmful biological disturbances, like the disease, like coral bleaching, and like algal blooms. So first I'll go over some of the different marine incidents that you can report to SEAFAN. Discolored water, algae, again, anchor damage and chain damage, coral disease and bleaching, invasive species. So anytime you spear a lionfish, let us know. Let us know where you were, so that way we can track where we're still seeing those pesky little buggers out on the reef. And of course, marine debris. So our SEAFAN Observer Network can be anyone who's out on the water for fun, for work, anything at all. If you're fishing, kayaking, jet skiing, and you see something, let us know. You can either give us a call at 1-866-770-Southeast Florida, or you can report it online at SEAFAN.net. So now I'll describe how we coordinate these responses. So let's say you're out and about on the water, you send a report to us, and then we let the appropriate agency, NGO, or university know what's going on so that they can tend to the issue. So if you see lionfish, for example, you let us know, and then we let Reef know. So now I hope you guys are ready to test your marine incident identifying skills. So go ahead and type in the chat box what you think this is: marine debris, coral disease, anchor damage, coral bleaching, or an algal bloom. All right, hopefully you guessed anchor damage, and you can see the broken white skeleton all around the coral. Don't worry, we've got a few more. All right, what marine incident is this? Marine debris, coral disease, anchor damage, coral bleaching, or an algal bloom? Hopefully you picked algal bloom. And I think we've got one more. All right, what kind of incident is this? Marine debris, coral disease, anchor damage, coral bleaching, or an algal bloom? So this one is coral disease, not coral bleaching, because you can see we've got some healthy color of the coral below. And like I talked about earlier, we can see that disease line, right? That black band that separates the healthy tissue from the dead tissue. So now that you all have practiced identifying some different marine incidents, I'll show you what it looks like when you submit a SEAFAN report online. And I'd like to add that the SEAFAN report is mobile friendly too. So you'll go to SEAFAN.net, and then here you'll click Report Online, and that'll direct you to our online survey. So if you've submitted a SEAFAN report in the past, you'll notice that this looks a little different from last summer. So you'll add the type of incident that you observed, and then this is where we get into the nitty-gritty. So here you can see the person typed marine debris and when and where, and also the county where the incident was observed. And if you happen to be on your boat and you have the GPS location, you can add that too. From there, we ask that you indicate the types and amount of marine debris removed, so get really specific as you can, and then describe what you did. Did you remove it? Was it too difficult, etc.? And then for observer information, if you took any photos, we'd like you to We'd like you to upload them if you can, and add your name and some contact information so that we can follow up with you if needed. So SEAFAN is an umbrella program to cover those 3 goals that I talked about earlier. And the first is responding to marine debris. So we have the Marine Debris Reporting and Removal Program. And some of you might have participated in our annual Southeast Florida reef cleanups, which we like to do every summer with our partners here in Southeast Florida. This past summer, we had 191 volunteers pick up 506 pounds of marine debris at 23 different sites. And we do a mix of onshore and underwater cleanups too. So we've got something for everybody. With COVID, our 2020 summer annual reef cleanup is currently on pause, but we're hoping to reschedule everything for the fall. So definitely keep those eyes and ears open. In addition to marine debris, we also want to be mitigating those ship groundings and anchor damages. And so we've got our Reef Injury Prevention and Response Program. According to Florida's Coral Reef Protection Act, which was passed by the state legislature in 2009, it is illegal to damage corals in state waters. So that's where we come in. When we hear about these incidents, we go out to sites and we conduct site assessments to figure out what species were harmed, how much, and figure out how much it would cost to restore that site. And then we're able to go after the ships and boats who caused the damage and collect those reparations. And lastly, the other thing we're focusing on is coral disease and bleaching. And that's where our BleachWatch program comes in, which is another aspect that you all can get involved in as snorkelers or divers. So BleachWatch is designed to be an early warning system for coral bleaching and disease here in Southeast Florida. Since the 1980s, we've seen an increase in frequency and severity of coral bleaching all around the world. So we really needed a program like BleachWatch to help be our eyes out on the reef to detect when bleaching begins and how long it lasts. So our BleachWatch program aims to conduct environmental monitoring, so monitoring the sea surface temperatures, and we want to get citizen scientists involved. Like I said, there's only 15 of us for the whole reef, and we can't be out there all hours of the day, even though we'd like to. So that's where you all can come in. And we also issue current conditions reports. So once you become a trained BleachWatch observer, you get added to our BleachWatch mailing list, and we send out these current condition reports to let you know what things are looking like. So if you're kind of iffy on diving one weekend, but you see that the bleaching likelihood is really high, that could persuade you to hit the water and send us a BleachWatch report. And it's also super helpful to get reports of no bleaching too. So that way we know what reefs are and are not being affected. So I know that some of you might have been a bit confused earlier about what bleaching looks like versus what disease looks like. And when you take one of our free BleachWatch classes, you'll understand this difference better. But I think that this GIF really does a good job. So with coral bleaching, the zooxanthellae that give the coral tissue its color are expelled. They leave the tissue, and the coral's tissues are normally translucent. So then as the tissue becomes translucent, you see the bright white skeleton underneath. But with tissue loss disease, not only does the zooxanthellae leave, but the coral polyp tissue completely erodes. And so then you just have the bare skeleton there. Sometimes with our BleachWatch classes, if you're feeling more comfortable with your coral ID, we ask that you also include what species you saw experiencing bleaching, or even what types of corals you saw experiencing bleaching. So these are the 6 main types of corals that we have here in Florida. And since we all love looking at underwater photos, I'll click through some of them really quick for you all. So flowering and cup coral, we've got our smooth flower coral, which is one of my favorites. But then I also realized that when I give this presentation, I say that pretty much every coral is my favorite. We've also got fleshy corals like our cactus corals, and the mushroom coral is the only solitary polyp coral that we have here in Florida. We've also got our plate, leaf, and sheet corals like lettuce coral, as well as our branching and pillar corals. So of the 4 species here, can you tell me which one or which ones are listed as endangered under the Endangered Species Act? Go ahead and type it in the chat box. I'll give you a hint. 3 of these species are listed as endangered. So our endangered species are the staghorn coral, the elkhorn coral, and the pillar coral. The staghorn and elkhorn, you might be familiar with, are very common in restoration efforts because they grow very fast, relevant to the other species that we have here in Florida. Brain corals, I'd say these are some of my favorite personally. And lastly, mound, boulder, and encrusting corals. The great star coral is another one of my favorites. Actually, before we go on, does anybody have a favorite kind of coral? Go ahead and type it in the box if you can. I'd say if it comes down to it, my favorites are probably brain coral and the great star coral. I also really want to see a pillar coral, but I haven't yet. All right. So hopefully now you're all super excited about coral and wondering how you can get involved with us in the water. So our BleachWatch classes are free classroom trainings, just 2 hours, where you learn how to identify coral bleaching, and we go through some of those other big species as well. And you learn how to tell apart disease and bleaching, and we show you how to upload specific BleachWatch reports, which are pretty similar to our SEAFAN reports. And we get a lot of help with our BleachWatch classes from our citizen support organization, which is Friends of Our Florida Reefs. So if you're interested in volunteering with us and kind of meeting the rubber where the rubber meets the road, is that how that goes? I don't think so. But check out floridareef.org and see how you can get involved with Friends of Our Florida Reefs. We also do in-water trainings. So the training itself is free. You just need to pay for the dive charter. And if you're really into BleachWatch, you can even become a BleachWatch instructor. We do a train the trainer program so that you can teach all of your other diving and snorkeling buddies more about coral bleaching and how to report it. And so I hope that after today, you are much more interested in participating in our citizen science programs. And with that, I want to thank you all for tuning into my presentation. And I can't wait to read all of your responses in the chat box and answer any questions that you may have.
All right. Hey, guys. What a great presentation. Give us a thumbs up or a heart or a smiley face if you really enjoyed that. And if you have any questions, go ahead and type it in the comment section to let us answer anything you have a question about what you covered. I do know, Michelle, a lot of people were a little confused on what bleaching was. I'm sorry, what coral disease was at first. They kept writing algal blooms, and so yeah, it's interesting how a lot of the pictures, you know, it's hard sometimes to do, so it is really great that if you can get out there and get up and get close to it, you'll be able to see what's actually going on. I know sometimes it's hard to tell between bleaching and like a coral disease because there's also things called predation, which means the animals can actually eat the corals and leave behind the tissue, and it's great. So it's a little, you know, hard to tell what's going on. But a lot of times with predation, especially like parrotfish, they bite on the coral. You'll see like, you know, the actual bite marks and that there's nothing, all the tissue's gone. So, all right. So let's go ahead. Anybody have any questions? Let's see. Tell us a little bit more about, you know, the pillar corals and the staghorn and elkhorn in this area. Why are they endangered? What are they doing to bring those things back? Is there any kind of like coral planting going on that's in this area?
Yeah, so the staghorn and elkhorn corals, the acroporid species really saw a decline back when we had the diadema die-off back in the 1990s. That's when we saw a big decrease in those populations. And so since then, we've been working on restoring them. The Coral Restoration Foundation and Moat down in the Keys do a lot of coral restoration. And we also have a really exciting project off of Key Biscayne in Miami-Dade County called 100 Yards of Hope, which is organized by Force Blue, which is a group of retired military divers who kind of convert their military purpose into a conservation purpose. And so they started 100 Yards of Hope in coordination with the 2020 Super Bowl in Miami. So their goal is to create literally 100 yards of a restored reef. And they just received some more funding to continue that project in connection with the 2021 Super Bowl, which is going to be in Tampa. So a lot of the corals that are going to be outplanted onto Miami are coming from the Florida Aquarium in Tampa. And then with the pillar coral is one of the most susceptible species to the disease. So the disease started in Miami-Dade County, and then it moved north, there's my hand, north along the reef, and then further south. So that's when we really saw the pillar coral populations start to decline in this area. So the pillar coral is essentially ecologically extinct in the northern part of the reef.
So as a diver, I do a lot of surveys for you guys, and I've actually taken photos of live pillar coral on a dive site called the Nursery. And over time, I saw how it was degrading, and I wasn't really sure. It wasn't a disease. It was starting to die off. And now when I go back to that same pillar coral, I literally have a side-by-side comparison of healthy one and the same exact one years later, not completely dead. So it's very sad to see, but I think you know, it's a good lesson learned that we need to be very aware of what the water quality is. Do you have any information about how they do any water quality testing in our area?
So the Coral Reef Conservation Program tests for water quality monthly at 27 different sites, and we're testing for a lot of different parameters as well. So my job is all about lack of awareness and appreciation, and we have a whole other person whose entire job is land-based sources of pollution. So we're always tracking water quality throughout the reef. And we also work with the DEP Beaches, Inlets, and Ports program. So we've been working on creating some special criteria for turbidity in the water throughout our reef. So making sure that we're maintaining a relatively low turbidity level so that the corals can continue to see that sunlight that they desperately need. And our land-based sources of pollution coordinator, I think this was about 6 months ago, we came out with a low impact development and green infrastructure best management practices guide. And it includes a bunch of information all about South Florida geology and hydrology. So it's specially tailored for our area.
Excellent. Okay. Anybody have any other questions? There's asking about what other corals do you plant?
So in addition to the staghorn and the elkhorn corals, we're also working a lot more with the different bouldering and brain corals especially. So if you cut the corals down into little fragments like this and you outplant them close together, so picture kind of outplanting them 1, 2, 3, 4, we find that they have much faster growth rates that way, and then they'll fuse together and form a larger coral. So over the years, they've been experimenting with a lot more different species to outplant because we want to make sure when we're restoring a reef that we're restoring the diversity too.
Excellent. Let's see. A question is the turbos from boats?
No, it's not necessarily from boats. It's more so from like dredging and beach renourishment and activities like that.
All right. So another question that I had was people are asking about sunscreens. Do you have any input on sunscreens?
Yeah, so of course we know that anything that we put on our bodies or any chemicals that we use on land have the ability to enter the ocean environment, right? So there's actually this handy, if I can share my screen again, Nicole, there's this handy infographic that NOAA has made about sunscreen that I can show you all. Let's see. All right. So with coral, for example, sunscreens that have like oxybenzones, oxynoates, they can accumulate in the coral tissue and can induce bleaching, and they can damage DNA and even deform the young. So let's see if I can share this screen here. Yeah, if I just go ahead and share that. All right. So here's this handy infographic you can check out at NOAA, and you can see it's oceanservice.noaa.gov/sunscreen. And then while I'm here, I also wanted to show you all, if you like tonight's presentation, we did a Coral Reef webinar week at the end of April in honor of Earth Month, and we were able to record some of our presentations. So you can watch and try Florida's coral reef fish identification. That was one of my favorites. And then I taught the Stony coral identification class. We also taught BleachWatch online for the very first time. So you can give that a go and see what it's like. And then we were able to save part 2 of the marine invert identification class. So if you go to floridadep.gov/RCP/coral. That will take you to our website, and then you'll be able to navigate over here to Coral Reef Webinar Week.
All right, excellent. So, Michelle, a lot of people are telling me that they're getting an echo. I'm going to try something. Okay, so hopefully nobody's hearing the echo anymore. I actually muted Michelle. And yes, we will attach those links, so no problem. And I don't think, does anybody else have any more questions before we do our raffle? Just I wanted to let you guys know that we have a shore dive meetup planned for tomorrow. It's supposed to be flat calm. So if you're interested, go to the Force E site and you can see what that entails and how to sign up for it. We have another one planned for Father's Day, and that one we're actually going to provide some breakfast after the dive. So if you're interested in those dives, go to www.force-e.com and you can register right there for our shore dive meetups or beach dive meetups. And while you're out there, you can go ahead and take a look and see if you can do any reports for SEAFAN. All right, so nobody's hearing the echo now. I'm sorry, Michelle, I had to mute you for a second. But let's see, Gary wants to ask, can you address the farm and fertilizer impacts on our reefs? There's a lot of research done, but it's a little of the state action. So let me unmute Michelle and mute me so that we don't have the stereo effect.
All right, great. I just put my headset on, so we'll see if that helps a bit. So like I said, her name is Allie Shatters. You can check out on our website our land-based sources of pollution page, but we do a lot of work on herbicide and fertilizer and pesticide best management practices. And we actually have a little outreach pamphlet that we always bring to our outreach events for different folks to learn about that. And on Friday, actually, I just did a presentation to a garden club and shared with them the wonders of our reefs and all the different ways that they can be good coastal stewards.
Okay, I just unmuted myself. Hopefully everyone can hear us. And I'm gonna go ahead and share that link for tomorrow's beach dive meetup for you guys. So here it comes in the comment section. It's coming, here it comes. All right, there it is. So if you guys are interested, go ahead and click that link and get signed up. You just go to the drop-down menu and figure out which date you want to do your dive on. We're going to be putting a lot more out. We just were kind of curious to see, how much people want to do this, and we had about 15 people show up on our last one. So it's a great way to get out there, meet people, and go diving. So, all right, let's see. Any more questions? I didn't see any more, so let's go ahead. If you guys want to take a glance here, we're gonna go over to our random name ticker. Let's see. Let me pull that up. All right, so I've inputted everybody's name that registered on our Eventbrite link. So all I have to do is click this green magical button and it's gonna let us know who wins an airfill card. All right, so let's see. You know what, Michelle, I'm gonna hide you off the screen so they can see the font better. Okay, and then let's do this. Okay, you guys, are you ready? Here it comes. And the person getting Ruthie Lawrence. Ruthie, are you listening to our Facebook Live right now? Type in a woohoo emoji. I don't know what that emoji would be, but maybe a happy face or something to let us know you're excited. Ruthie Lawrence, you get airfill card here at 4C. We're going to give you some air fills or nitrox fills. We'll get that information over to you. I'll email how it works, and we hope that you use that to go out and do some surveys and do any reports back to the SEAFAN program. Woohoo! All right, so let me go ahead and bring Michelle back. All right, and there she is. All right, anybody else have any more questions? We've got the link for the dive meetup, and I know Michelle's gonna go ahead and share some of the links that she talked about tonight. You guys, I always do an email after, if you signed up on our Eventbrite, I always do an email afterwards to let you guys know where you can find some of this material. So look for that email, and we'll get some information over to you. And we'll be hosting, hopefully, some BleachWatch classes here real soon at 4C. It's been a little difficult to host bigger classroom arrangements because of the COVID situation and, you know, having the limitations of people inside of our store. So, you know, we just need to, you know, see what happens, and hopefully you can schedule some of those soon. And we have lots of dives planned in July, so stay tuned for those. And we hope that every time you go out diving, you'll get us a report. Michelle, did you want to add anything else for tonight?
I don't think so, Nicole. I can send you the information that includes the SEAFAN.net link. And then if people are keen on signing up for our mailing list, so that way they get notifications about the BleachWatch program and things like that. But I'd say, lastly, I just want to show you one last piece that we've been working on lately, which is our big Florida's Coral Reef campaign. So as I mentioned earlier, we have been working with Force Blue on the 100 Yards of Hope that was launched in connection with the Super Bowl. And so we've got this great new website called floridascoralreef.org, where you can learn about the reef, what we're doing on the reef, sign the pledge to be a better steward, learn more about how you can help both in and out of the water. We've got news from all of our different partners here, and just so many great resources that you all can check out. You can figure out where you live in relation to the reef and just learn more about this awesome resource. And we've got my favorite here. This is a live feed of the Coral City camera. So this is live in Government Cut here in Miami. So you can check that out. And there's a lot of neat things to click around and explore. So it's super easy to find, floridascoralreef.org.
Awesome. All righty, guys. Well, that is it for our presentation. We hope that you guys will help us protect Florida's coral reefs and make sure that you're getting those surveys into the SEAFAN people. And we hope that you guys have a great day or a great evening, and we hope to see you out diving soon. Bye.